Hi, I'm Pat Halpin, and welcome to the Albany edition of Meet the Leaders. We've been joined by New York State Assemblywoman Nathalia Fernandez from the Bronx.
From the BX,
From
yes,
the
sir.
Bronx. You came in here only a year or so ago in a special election.
Yeah, less than a year, probably 6-7 months now.
But you have a lot of experience in government, having worked for Governor Cuomo as his Bronx representative.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I know, if you work for Governor Cuomo, what you do in a week, other people will barely get done in a year.
That is true.
So you know how to get things done.
Yes.
You also, you're familiar with the legislature and all of that. So as you're beginning this new session, 2019, there is now a Democratic Senate.
Exciting
for the
times,
first
yes.
time in a number of years, and it's not a small majority, it's a big majority. There are a lot of expectations.
Absolutely.
And the governor's raised that bar, and everybody's raised the bar, saying we're going to get so much done. What are your top priorities?
Well, always my top priorities was education. You know, I really do care for what our children are getting out of this system, and that it will help them in the long run, starting from pre-K to college. So I was happy to see the governor begin the Excelsior Scholarship. I do think we can do more with it. In addition to that, criminal justice reform, that has been an issue that has been talked about for years. You know, and we see how it's hurt individuals, hurt families.
Hurt communities.
Hurt communities, yes. So now that I am in this role, I'm able to take a leadership on my own and not on behalf of...
So when you talk about criminal justice reform, what kinds of reforms are you talking about?
Well, starting from what we did already, Assembly last year passed the cash bail reform, which was a great step. We do have to do more with it.
And that was important because there are a lot of people sitting in jails who just can't pay the cash bail.
And a lot of the systems within the jails, I think we need to better, especially for women, making sure that they have all medical needs, depending on what stage or phase in their life they are, pregnant women in particular. And making sure that, raise the age. That was another big issue that, thankfully we got through. I do think there needs to be more attention to the transferring of young individuals.
And raise the age had to do with having very young people in with adults.
And it was traumatizing.
In prison and jails.
And we saw with the example of Khalif Browder what it's doing to more than just him, and so many more people. So it's definitely something we need to focus on.
So when you talk about criminal justice reform, I mean that has been handled as a separate item, but with the probability that recreational marijuana is going to be decriminalized, legalized, and you create a regulatory framework for its sale. There's also a lot of talk about social justice reform with that by expunging records and going back to people who have been incarcerated, may still be, or out, and clearing their records of
that's a must.
Of that.
That is a must when it comes to the legalization of marijuana, because this simple drug, plant, whatever you want to label it, it has caused longer repercussions on those individuals than those who have committed harm or worse crimes like murder even. I feel like people have gotten out in lesser time than someone who has been caught with grams on them.
And I saw a statistic, and I want to know if this is accurate, that if you look at the communities and individuals who have been arrested and incarcerated for marijuana, 81% come from Black and brown communities.
Exactly, and we need to kill that discrepancy, and to make it a more fair system. And the expungement of the records to the minority communities is the prime example of the wrongs in it. That it hurt them more than it has anybody else.
Right.
So with the legalization, we need to make sure that this is a fair and open platform for anybody to benefit from it, and then to save those that have been hurt by it.
Okay, let's talk about another big issue, which is how do we pay for the billions of dollars that the MTA is going to need to get our transit system, and for that matter, our suburban lines, in a condition that they should be in.
Congestion pricing is, I want to say, one of the better ideas to it.
Aren't you worried that, I'm going to ask you a question, I'm going to challenge you on this.
Okay.
Aren't you worried that a lot of people from the Bronx who have to get into Manhattan are going to find that by car or by truck are going to find that burdensome?
Hopefully not, because we have been working in the Bronx with the borough president and Amtrak to get 4 new Metro North stations on the east side of the Bronx, at least on my end. So I think that would be a relief to transportation woes, instead of just relying on the subway and Ubers and taxis and all that. So hoping that that can happen same time, I don't think it would hurt the Bronx that much.
No, actually it would be a big benefit. I mean, I think about it for myself, commuting from Long Island. I never drive it.
Yeah, nobody wants to drive.
Who wants to drive it? I hop on that Long
And we
Island
should
Railroad.
really be pushing people away from driving just for the environmental aspect of it, that the sitting in traffic congestion, the Bronx has the highest asthma rate, we need to bring new alternatives to transportation needs and, get people out of cars and onto trains.
What about housing?
Housing, yeah.
People in communities all across New York City, the Bronx in particular, are being priced out of communities that used to be reasonably affordable.
Absolutely, and the Bronx, as a focus, has been a target for new developments. They're saying that it's going to be the new Brooklyn, and with all the new housing opportunities that is to come to the Bronx, we want to make sure that it stays affordable and available to current Bronx residents. So, hopefully passing, or not hopefully, because I really believe we are going to pass this year, the whole housing reform, preferential rent, everything will help keep families in their homes while we get new available homes coming to the
So
Bronx.
what's it going to mean to have a state senator that's in the majority, that where you serve the same communities for you as an assembly member?
It's an advantage. It's going to be a great partnership. I look forward to working with my senators and to delivering for people of the Bronx. So.
Because as I found out when I was assembly member, and I'm sure you found out, in Albany there are only 2 parties, a majority and a minority.
Well, now we're in 2 majorities,
Now
so a
we're-
lot of
now
things can happen.
A lot of things can happen. So the expectations are high, but also
It
the
is.
responsibilities that come along
Absolutely.
with
So I
that.
think we have to plan out, everything we want to accomplish, and with organization and a plan, because what's the saying? A plan to fail, or fail to plan is a plan to fail.
And you did work for Andrew Cuomo,
I
and he always
did.
had a plan.
He always had a plan with his PowerPoint right behind him. So
So you get
I
that.
anticipate the same coming up, but I look forward to working with all bodies, and I'm positive that we'll make the changes needed.
All right. Assemblywoman, thank you so much. Have a great year.
Thank you so
And Happy
much.
New Year
Thank
to
you.
Thank
Happy New Year.
That's going to do it for this edition of Meet the Leaders. I'm Pat Halpin. We'll see you again next time.